Before we continue, let me thank a few more in-kind partners who have made tonight's menu so special. Atarraya, Regal Springs, Tilapia, Kerry Dairy Ireland, Whole Chain, and Polmero. So the session coming up is very special, including an immersive tasting paired with our conversation. So please make sure you're in your seats. Please sit down. There are plenty of seats for all of you so that you don't miss the tasting. So let me introduce our panel. We have Daniel Russek, the CEO of Atarraya. Round of applause. Hey. Elena Piana, the Group Sustainability Manager for Regal Springs. Round of applause. Alex Golub is the Sustainability Director for Acme Smoked Fish. And James O'Connell is the Director of Agribusiness and Sustainability at Kerry Dairy Ireland, which always trips me up every time I say it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your partnership and collaboration. This is a really great night. I'm going to ask everyone to simmer down a little bit so we can have a nice conversation. We're almost to the party part, everyone, okay? So I have a question for all of you first. As we're talking, there will be a few bites. Simmer down. I'm going to wait until you do. Great. I'm a stepmother. I'm used to simmering people down. As we're talking, we have a few different bites that are being passed around to everyone. Can you talk about what the audience is about to enjoy?
Not very well. I believe the audience are going to enjoy lobster with our butter on it, our Dairy Gold butter. You're going to enjoy our charlotte cheese and protein balls that contain our ultra-nor protein.
Very cool.
From Acme Smoked Fish, you're going to be tasting our cold smoked ahi tuna, and it's going to be served in a poke cube. I don't know exactly the presentation, but if you like tuna, you'll love to try our smoked tuna.
Amazing, Elena.
Hi guys, Elena here from Regal Springs. We're going to be passing around some tilapia in a mini fish taco. So you will have these little things with tilapia inside. I hope you enjoy it.
Daniel.
So you're going to be testing local shrimp from Plainfield, New Jersey, that we produce sustainably with no contact to the ocean.
Thank you all so much. It sounds delicious. And again, that'll be passed around. If you're quiet and you're sitting, you'll get some. Otherwise, you won't. Alex, building on the last panel, can you talk about how Acme is using digital traceability to improve supply chains? How's that working?
Absolutely. So it's a big issue. I'm sure the last panel touched on it. It's a really big issue specifically in the seafood sector. But I think most commodities are really grappling with end-to-end digital traceability. In seafood in particular, we're impacted by the FSMA 204 regulations, which got pushed down the line, but is still something that...
Acronyms.
Should I explain that?
Yeah.
So the Food Safety Modernization Act
Thank you.
Has a piece of legislation that's been passed through the FDA and down to food suppliers across multiple commodities, but it's really looking at food safety regulation and being able to do really fast recalls in case of a foodborne illness outbreak. But the impact of this legislation is that it's really forcing food manufacturers across the country to understand where their food is coming from, down to, it's really kind of an one up, one down system. So each node in the supply chain has to know exactly where their food is coming from and where it's going. And the impact of that, I think, is amazing, for food safety regulation. But I think I work on sustainability at Acme, and I think the potential for traceability, for full chain traceability, can unlock so much more value for seafood businesses, including sustainability, quality, and so many other benefits, both for consumers and food manufacturers.
Yeah, and it really helps, fishers, and ultimately it makes things taste better, right?
Right, and there's the social responsibility component as well, right? Harvesters, if consumers know where their food is coming from, harvesters can really have those assurances, and that transparency could ripple through.
Yeah, transparency is key. Thank you. Daniel, I'm wondering if you can talk about, not everyone is aware of the environmental impacts of shrimp farming. Can you talk about how new software is being implemented to create sort of this alternative model?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the problem with traditional sourcing of shrimp is that it basically needs to destroy the ocean, either by scraping the bottom of the ocean for wild catch or by destroying huge swaths of mangrove to do farming. So the way that we do it is that we basically, in order to not need an ocean, we replicated the ocean environment in our tanks by creating basically a synergetic relationship between a microbiome and shrimp. So basically, that's our biotech core. Then we have software on top of that to make it easy, so that we don't need PhDs running our farms. And then we did hardware so that we can make it affordable. We create our own equipment, we manufacture, we deploy it, we do quality assurance so that it is affordable.
Amazing. Everyone got really quiet. Is it really good? Good. Thank you, Daniel. James, if I can turn to you, how do you see digital technology and innovations like AI supporting dairy farmers? Those folks that you're working with so closely in Ireland.
I suppose we have a very developed traceability system in Ireland. We have a national programme called Origin Green, under which all our milk suppliers are audited from a sustainability and quality perspective independently. And we've been making a lot of progress in relation to working with our farmers under our Evolve sustainability programme over the last number of years. But something that's quite clear to us is that looking forward, looking to 2030 and beyond, the level of detail, though it's good and probably very good versus a lot of the world, it's not going to be good enough to really get to almost micromanaging systems on farms. So what we're looking at the moment is we have a project called Project Galileo that is trialing, various different types of sensors, but very much going towards remote sensing, satellite usage, really, ground truthing these technologies, because we feel we're going to have to bring these technologies into our sustainability program over time to put a framework around our farmers that makes it easier for them to manage their farms and manage, the ins and outs of their farms, from the nutrient flow through the farm, how they manage that in great detail.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're focused on at the moment from a digital perspective.
It's very ambitious, but so common sense. That's what I love about it. It will help farmers in the future do things better.
And it's looking as well at, we have a labour challenge in Ireland from the point of view of labour availability at farm level. And as our farms, which are very small compared to the US, as they get bigger, there's going to be that demand for labour, and we need to take some of that pressure away from farmers to really help them to manage their farms in a way that they're going to be, in the first place, financially viable, but then to be environmentally sustainable as well.
Absolutely. None of this works if they're not financially or economically viable. On that point, Elena, obviously the food that all of us in this room want food to be produced that contributes to planetary health. But for me, and I think for so many of us, that none of that matters if it's not helping communities thrive. And I'm wondering if you can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Regal Springs is very unique in that sense because, of course, we have all the certifications and all the procedures in place to make sure that the fish is raised the right way all the way through to harvest. But Regal Springs for 37 years has gone way beyond that. It has always operated in very rural and very remote locations, which is great because that's where you get the best fish, in contaminated lakes, beautiful environments. But you have all these communities that are living in poverty. Access to jobs are not many, conditions are hard. So we have always gotten involved to make sure that all these communities are cared for. And depending on what's available to us, we make sure that the approach we take benefits both the communities and the environment. So, for example, in Honduras, we work in some places where we have an issue with water scarcity. So fresh water is not so readily available as it was 20, 30 years ago. That also an issue. It's an issue for them, and it's an issue for us. So we look at the aquifers and we know we have a problem, and what we do is not just reducing the freshwater consumption in the farm and in the hatchery, but we also work with the communities and we fit water filters to help them reduce their water consumption and make sure that it's potable what they get.
Right.
And these are people that couldn't afford that otherwise. So, I mean, accessing potable water is extremely important.
Absolutely, absolutely. All these win-win-wins that you can create if you're doing things in a really thoughtful way, right?
Yeah.
And using technology to help you do that.
Yeah, I mean, we are super imagine being able to work in things like this is, it's a treasure, we're
Right.
so lucky. We work in Honduras, we also work with our forest protection programs, so we give economic incentives to communities to help themselves to make sure that there are no fire hazard around the community. So if they do their checks, at the end of the year, we reward them with whatever they need to build a school or whatever it is that the community needs. In Mexico, we sponsored a massive reforestation project for 2 years in a row. But this year we went beyond that, and we it's amazing. We all like to talk about forest and forest protection and the trees, but those are habitats. And as you know, guys, if someone here studied science, when you want to protect a habitat, you need to protect the top species, those ecosystem engineering species. So this year we started also working on the protection of the jaguar in Mexico, because we know that if the jaguar is healthy in those forests, all the animals below that and the
Right.
trees will follow.
Yeah, so smart, so smart. So my final question for you all, and we've heard it tonight, you're all great storytellers, but it's hard to communicate these issues to a wider audience. Like, everyone in here, cares about these issues, but what I've learned this week and maybe my whole life is that we have to start talking to the people who don't know about these things, talk to the people who don't agree with us. How do we tell our stories better? Daniel?
Well, I think that by making delicious food, because that's the way to get their attention.
Bravo,
right?
yes.
Because otherwise, if we're just making people feel guilty, and we don't give you an alternative. But I think that in the end, it's all about you enjoying, and the more that you know about your food, the more you enjoy it. That's basically what we strive for, right? And I think that this panel it's basically based on that.
That's a perfect answer. Alex?
Yeah, I think I love Daniel's comment, and I love eating the products that my company makes. I grew up eating smoked fish, so it's just a huge honor for me to be able to work in the smoked fish industry now. But I think part of it's also how we can connect to consumers, right? Acme sells consumer packaged goods, and so we can do some storytelling on our packaging, make our products pop off the shelf with our 1% for the planet commitments and our eco certifications. And some consumers are going to be skeptical, but for the folks that are looking for it, they're going to know what it means, right? They're going to know that we're a company that's really values driven and committed to sustainability.
Alex, the couple of times I've talked to you now, I know how proud you are of this work, and it makes me really happy. Congratulations on all that you do. Elena, storytelling.
I really like what Daniel said. Just for good food, and I think there's a lot to unpack there. It's so true, because food that has been produced with the best practices, with love and with care and with patience, tastes good. So if we get people to fall in love with food, and we learn to recognize what tastes good and what's good for our bodies, in a way, automatically you are buying sustainably produced food. And of course, there will be exceptions, but I actually think building that relationship with food and really loving the taste of it is so key, guys. And then once you become passionate about some brand, you can go and read about it. But definitely, it's gotta taste good. Focus on the flavor.
Thank you. James, my friend, you get the final word.
Yeah, I think for me it's about transparency. I think we have a transparency issue in sustainability. I think we need to be transparent in what we do, and I think that needs to be communicated in an effective way to the consumer, because to a degree our supply chains are broken from a sustainability perspective because the pull is not coming from the consumer a lot of the time, or it's lost in business-to-business relationships. So for me, it's, as all three of the panelists have said, it's about communicating to the consumer in a transparent way and be very open about what you're doing, and let someone else be transparent and compare to you. It's that simple.
That's great. Here's to a traceable, Transparentive Food System. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you, Danny.
As they're exiting, let me thank a few more of our in-kind partners: Maker's Mark, Bonterra Organic Estates, Farmers Gin, Athletic Brewing, Bears Fruit, and Lundberg Family Farms. Give them a round of applause.